You're probably wondering why I'm standing here by this old burn pile in my yard. Honestly, burn piles aren't typically something worth showing off. They're the place where you throw things you don't want anymore, the broken branches, the dead plants, the scraps, the ashes. It's the stuff that's left over when you're finished with something. But then something strange happened here. Last fall, I told you about that old pumpkin sitting on our porch. It had been there since October, and as time rolled around, it got gross. It was soft, mushy, sagging, left a huge stain on our front porch concrete. You saw the picture, it was bad. We didn't want it anymore, so what did we do? We tossed it out here in the burn pile. And months later, when spring came around, I looked out here and I saw something green pushing up through the branches, through the ashes, and I thought, no way. But sure enough, pumpkins started to grow. Not because I planted them, not because I wanted them here, but simply because out of something dead and discarded, God was quietly bringing something to life again. And when I saw that, I couldn't shake this thought. This is exactly what God has promised to do with the entire world. The Bible is full of promises like this. In Revelation 21, 3-5, says, look, God is dwelling places now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eye. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. And he who was seated on the throne said, I am making everything new. God promises that one day, what looks dead will be alive again. What looks broken will be healed. What feels wasted will be redeemed. It's the same picture Isaiah 61:3 paints when it says that God will give us a crown of beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, and the garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. Think about that for a second. Ashes into beauty, burn piles into garden, tears into joy. That's the heartbeat of restoration. Now let's step back and see a bigger picture of where we've been. In creation, God made everything good. Life was whole, beautiful, and complete. In the fall, sin fractured that goodness, and everything from relationships to creation itself was damaged. Through redemption, Jesus came to rescue us like no one else could. At the cross, he took what was broken and began the work of putting it all back together. And now the story doesn't end there. The final chapter is restoration, where God finishes the work once and for all and makes everything new. And that's what's amazing. The story comes full circle, but it doesn't just go back to Eden. It goes forward to something even better, because this time there's no chance of sin returning. This time brokenness is gone forever. This time we live in God's presence with no separation. Now here's the part we can't miss. Restoration isn't just a future promise, it's a present hope. Romans 8:18 says this, I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. That means every scar, every loss, every disappointment you've carried, none of it is wasted. God is holding on to all of it, and one day he will restore it completely. So when life feels heavy, when the headlines are filled with violence, when disease touches someone you love, when your own life feels like a burn pile, don't forget the pumpkins. What looks dead can sprout with life again. What looks wasted can become the soil for something beautiful. Restoration means that our hope isn't wishful thinking. It's a guarantee. Sealed by the resurrection of Jesus, if he walked out of the grave, we can trust that one day we will too. So how do we live in light of that promise? We hold on to hope. Don't let despair write the final word in your story. Whatever ashes you're standing in right now, God has promised to bring beauty out of them. Live as a preview of the future. Every time you choose forgiveness instead of bitterness, every time you bring peace instead of conflict, every time you choose love instead of hate, you're giving the world a little glimpse of what is coming. We're meant to be walking previews of God's future kingdom, this new creation. Encourage one another. Sometimes we forget the story isn't over. That's why we need each other. To remind us that even when life feels like a burn pile, God is still at work. Who in your group, your family, of your circle of friends need to hear that hope from you this week? As you gather in your groups, here are a few things you can talk about. Where do you see evidence of God bringing beauty from ashes in your life and in the world around you? And which part of God's promise in Revelation 21 encourages you the most, and why? How can you live as a preview of restoration in your daily life right now? Don't rush these questions. Sometimes the best part of small group is when someone else's story helps you see God at work in your own story. So here's a story we've walked through together. Creation, we were made for good. Fall, sin fractured the world. Redemption, Jesus came to rescue us. And restoration, God will make all things new. Standing here with pumpkin growing out of this burn pile, it's a reminder. If God can bring life from ashes, he can bring hope out of brokenness. If he can do it here in my yard, he can do it in your life, and he will do it in the whole new world. That's our future. That's our hope. And that's why we can live today with joy, with courage, and with eternal perspective, because the best is yet to come.